All right, seeing the time, let's call the meeting to order. I'd like to note that all of council is in attendance. So step number one, can I get a motion for the adoption of, first, are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
I'd like to add an item to the agenda. Under the closed session, Council Code of Conduct, under Section 25.
Thank you.
Acting Mayor Yushishин, could I get, remove 11.4 and add under closed section 16.2 under FOIP, section 25?
So I think that would be 6.3 now because Councilor Sandal already did, yeah.
Yep, 16.3, yep.
Section 25 and 6.2.
If I may, I just have a question.
Okay,
So we're moving 11.2 into closed session then?
no,
Or deleting that?
deleting 11.4
Yeah. Or
and
11
then adding 16.3.
And what was the topic of discussion for the in-camera? I just missed that. It said, I know it says 16, or section 25, but,
Yeah, we have two items that were added, Council
Yeah.
Code of Conduct under Section 25 and land sale under Section
Okay.
25.
and that was,
16.
Mr. Lawrence. Okay, got it, thank you.
And land sale. All right, anything else? All right, can I get a motion? Councilor Milante?
I'll put forward the motion. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All,
To take it as presented or as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, all in favor? Okay. Adoption of minutes, regular meeting of council. Can I get a motion on that? Councilor Barry?
I move we accept the minutes of the regular meeting of council as of April 23rd, 2025, as presented.
Any questions, concerns? Councilor Harris?
Thank you. I have a couple of them. I noticed that I have a couple of questions. First, the Park Works Solution
Nope,
Corporate.
we're on the,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
we're on the minutes.
No, go ahead. I'm ahead of myself.
No questions then?
No questions.
Anybody else? Are all in favor? Approved. Okay, now we're on the accounts paid. Can I get a motion for that? Councilor Kozak, thank you. Councilor Harris, you got questions?
Yeah, sure do, thank you. For the Memorial Park, check that we wrote for 210 grand, I assume that all of our grant funding has been approved and we have, earmarked our dollar for dollar matching or portion of it?
Acting Mayor Yushishin, members of council, as been reported in the past, those funds are in a separate bank account and they're sitting in our banking institution. So we've had the funds for a while, so that's where the funds are coming from.
Okay, thank you. My second question with that, how much were, the Ag Society got a grant for $710,000, correct?
That's correct.
And how much is the town contributing?
Right now, the town would be contributing the funds that are being held in capital from Sturgeon County, 200,000.
Isn't it a matching grant though?
Well, we have the 710,000 because we're using some other funds
Right.
as well from the provincial grant, 435 some thousand. So everything is matching, but the town, out of tax dollars, there is very little money, maybe 100,000, that's it. The rest is grant money or capital money coming from the recreation agreement that we have with Sturgeon County.
Okay, I'm just a little unclear. I thought that the town had to match with town funds, so are we using a grant to match
Yes,
a grant?
It's called grant stacking, and that is allowed.
No, I'm not but I thought that that the town was responsible for, like contributing, how can you use grant money when it's a requirement for the municipality to,
Because if you apply for a grant, it becomes your money. So it is allowed.
Acting Mayor Shushin, members of council, I think just for clarification, so it doesn't specifically say it is a matching grant. It didn't say exactly that the town of Gibbons per se had to provide that through our tax dollars. So we could use a number of different ways to support that matching. So we did that through our grants and everything like that, as Monique had spoken with. Does that make a little more sense?
yeah.
Okay.
So in total, if the Ag Society was successful in getting the $710,000 grant, how much are we contributing? Or not we, but how much is it's $1.4 million project, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
So
So another 710 plus interest we also have to include into that. So if it's sitting in the account.
okay, is there any way, just because I mean, I would assume that it goes for the rest of council, is there any way, because that's a big dollar figure, that we could see how that grant, because I know that there was an extension and all that, you know, there was paperwork that had to be submitted to the province. Could we be, you know, provided with that information just so that we can see where the money has gone and what we're doing with it and how the paperwork, just for our own education?
Just to clarify, where the money is coming from, isn't that what was on the capital budget? Identifying where those funds were coming from?
Well, yeah, but I was mistaken. Not mistaken, I suppose I misunderstood. I thought that it was town money, tax money that had to be put forward. I did not know that a grant could be, you know, another grant could be applied for to, you know, be put towards and earmarked as the town money, because it's my understanding that when you apply for a grant, right, that grant money has to be used for whatever that grant was earmarked for, right?
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, I have an Excel spreadsheet started that tracks where the monies come from and what is paid out of it. So it's a working document that right now we've only spent the $210,000 plus $1,700 of engineering. That's going to be updated on a monthly basis. So if council makes a motion that that's what they want to be presented every month, we can provide it because we are tracking it internally as we speak.
Awesome.
Okay. I was speaking with a couple of individuals in town who are involved with the project on the community side, and there was just a little bit of confusion about going forward with the extension and whatnot, so I can follow up with that in an email and,
Okay.
okay. My other question that I had, that was my first question. Anybody else have anything, or should I just keep going?
I have one, but go ahead.
No, carry on.
I'm just curious about the second item, Receiver General for 28,000, just shy of 29 for deductions. Is that benefits?
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, those are CPP, EI, and income tax. Receiver General benefits go to AB Munis.
Awesome, thank you. Councillor Harris, you had another one?
Yeah, thank you. I noticed that on the second page, there's a whole bunch of refunds for $500 to a bunch of teams. Can I just get a little clarification on that?
Acting Mayor Shushin, members of council, so at the end of the hockey season, they all pay a $500 deposit to make sure fees, damage, everything like that. And once they're done their contract, we have to pay back that damage deposit as long as there was no outstanding balances.
Oh, okay. That's done yearly? I've just never noticed that.
Yes, that's correct. Sometimes they were done like on different times. This time we just did them all at once, a little bit more collectively.
Okay. Hang on, there's one more question. I can't find it now. No, I'm good now. Oh, yes, pardon me. One other question. How come on the second page, I noticed that there was an increase in the billing to Trinus by about $1,000 for the month? Is there a reason for the monthly billing to Trinus? It's usually 10 something.
Mary Shushin, members of council, we'll have to look into that one. That's a very good point. We'll see why it increased by 1,000. I'm imagining it's on call because usually it is around 10,000. So we can come back to that.
Okay, can you report back at the next council meeting then?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I believe
That-
you have to make a motion.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we'll do that after we
Yep,
accept
sure.
this.
thank you.
Councillor Barry?
Just something I'm a little bit curious about. Where are we here? Lane built, garage behind office and GRC, $3,844.
Acting Mayor Yashishin, members of council, Councillor Barry. So for the lane built expense there, the garage behind the office building is the garage directly behind in the cold storage area there. The floor was rotting out, the door jamb was rotting out. We had to do some extensive repairs in there.
Okay.
As for the GFRC portion, there was the back of the building, there was the old stairwell that is since becoming, or is getting removed. It's still under construction on that. So there was some framing and some incidental works on that from the inside and the outside before we can do some backfilling to bring out to surface level.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
One more question.
One more?
Yeah, thank you. I noticed that on the second page as well, the Summit truck, why are we paying a rental for the vac truck that we bought?
Acting Mayor Yusishin, members of council, because the loan is in progress. We're working with the credit union to get the loan in place.
Pardon me? I thought that was approved.
Councilor Mary, Acting Mayor Yusishin, members of council, yes, the loan the bylaw was approved, but it's a process to get it all in place.
Can you explain that process, please? Because this was a couple months ago that we've been discussing.
That's correct, because we have been very busy and we are working with the credit union to get all the documents in place. And sometimes loans take a couple of weeks or a month to come into effect.
Well, that's a little confusing considering we approved the purchase of the vac truck, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago? And it was urgent because none of that money was going towards the principal balance. That's what we were told, why it was, it's urgent that we approve that borrowing bylaw. So,
Do we have a timeline on when, do you know how close we are to getting it?
I'll have to check with Laura at Service.
Okay.
can I ask when we can get an update? Because, I mean, that was the whole point of us having to push it through really quick and,
I think, again, we could ask for a motion and even just get an update at the next meeting, regardless of what the outcome of that is.
Yeah.
Get an update at the next meeting.
okay, because that's a little concerning, considering what we were told 2 months ago. So are we going to do we have to make two separate motions for both of those inquiries, or can we make one motion?
You could you could make one motion that administration gets back to you on the items that were noted, and that
Okay.
becomes one motion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor of accepting as presented? Okay, thank you. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to make a motion that council direct administration to follow up at the next council meeting, which is, or we still have a meeting at the end of May, it's not, okay? At the, next council meeting, May 25th, 29th, whatever the date is, please, Ms. Pino. Math is hard today. Anyway, for a follow-up, with two items, one being the vac truck rental and the finalization of the loan process with Service Credit Union, as well as the overbilling or I'll call it overbilling of the Trinus account for these accounts payables, please.
Okay. All right, any questions on that? All in favor? Thank you. All right, 10.1, committee reports.
Acting Mayor Yusish, Member of Council. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request council to give consideration to the council committee appointments. Since the resignation of former Mayor Dan Deck, council has made no changes to the council committee appointments, with Acting Mayor Yusish filling in on committees specifically for the mayor. However, some of these committees require an alternate, as well as some committees will require an appointment as a member. Options available. The options for consideration for council are include the following. There's a page there with them. Recommendation for action, administration would like to respectfully request council consider the following recommendation. Council appoint a council member to sit on the attached committees previously occupied by former Mayor Dan Deck as either a member or an alternate as required.
Thank you. Before we get a motion, I need to know, do we discuss who might take what position and then motion that? Or do we motion first, then discuss?
You're going to need to discuss. You have no motion to make because you have nobody to put on there.
Cool.
So you're going to need to discuss first, decide who's going to sit on what committee, and then you can make a motion to move those individuals onto those committees.
Wonderful, thank you. Councillor Berry.
I've looked at all of these, and some of them are more suited to me than others, so I would like to volunteer to take on the Rose Ridge Landfill Commission and also the Sturgeon Regional Partnership. And that's it.
All right,
Do you believe Sturgeon Regional Partnership is the mayor and the alternate is the deputy mayor, and you are currently sitting as the deputy mayor, so you are already on that committee
Great.
as the alternate.
Okay, thank you.
and respectfully, I'd like to request I keep Rose Ridge. I've gotten to know them, I've been there for the last few meetings, and there's already a good working relationship there. But I'm great if you wouldn't mind stepping in as the alternate for me.
I'd love to be the alternate.
Awesome, thank you. Alternate. I'd also like, if possible, for Edmonton Global, just because of the times that they meet, I've not been able to attend any of the meetings, but I know Councillor Kozak and Sandal, the two of you have. Would one of you be willing to take that one over for me?
I'll take Edmonton Global.
Thank you.
And Alberta Industrial Heartland.
Cool. Any concerns with that? We didn't have alternates, so I'm assuming we probably don't need alternates on that one, or on those. Councilor Belante?
I kind of think we should have an alternate, especially for the Industrial Heartland one. Just my thoughts on that one, so.
I don't have a problem putting an alternate on it, as long as there's no, nothing preventing us from putting an alternate on that you're aware of.
I know some communities require an alternate and some don't, but I could not tell you which ones require the alternate. So if you want to at least appoint somebody,
Okay.
there's no, in this situation, I don't think there's anything wrong with having too many people.
I'd agree.
Okay.
Cool. All right, anybody want the alternate on Edmonton Global and or AIHA?
I'll take those positions if no one else minds.
All right.
I wouldn't mind taking the Alberta Industrial Heartland one, if you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. The second thing to that is that you are the member for Community Futures, and I'm actually the member for Community Futures. You want to be the alternate? No problem.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, so that was just documented incorrectly?
Yeah, it was documented incorrectly.
Okay.
That's, yeah, it is incorrect.
Okay. All right.
Just to follow up, Norm, you're gonna take Edmonton Global, and then I will take Alberta Industrial Heartland as alternates, if that's okay with council.
Yes, correct.
Okay. For me personally, I don't think I have a problem absorbing the other ones that former Mayor Deck was on. But is there anything else anybody wants to adjust, step in?
I'm just noticing the Safe and Healthy Communities, AB Munis. I don't think we have to have anybody in there simply because that was something that Dan took on. And I believe he had to apply to be on that. It's not something we can automatically appoint somebody to.
Okay. I don't think I've seen any communication from them anyway about it, so. Yeah, then I think for that one, we could probably just remove it, and if we see a communication, reach out to them and let them know what they'd like us to do about it potentially?
Yeah.
Does that sound fair? Okay. All right. I think with that then, can I get a motion to accept as amended?
I'll accept it as amended, thank you.
Okay.
How about instead that we make a motion to appoint the council members as discussed to the committees?
That sounds fair.
Yeah, thanks. I'll change my motion to reflect that, thanks.
All right, any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, policy L 3-25, electronic devices policy.
Acting Mayor Yushishин, members of council, the purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council give consideration to policy L 3-25, council electronic device policy. We went through it, there's some changes in there. The significant changes were no cell phones.
Council reviewed this policy back in March and asked us to. There's been no changes, just some research is what we did into whether or not to provide cell phones.
Okay, so my understanding is that anybody coming on council will receive an electronic device, AKA tablet, but will not receive a cell phone. They will be compensated for council use on their own personal cell phones.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, in my case, I have a cell phone that I received when I came on council. So what happens with that cell phone?
I believe the process has been in the past is that that just becomes your personal device. It gets wiped, and then the account gets shut down, and it's up to you to reactivate that phone.
Okay. So essentially, it's mine because I've been on council for quite some time.
That was the practice in the past, and because cell phones will not be offered in the future, I mean, we could take that device from you, Councillor Barry, and just destroy it, but that seems
Counterproductive.
yeah, so having the device wiped though, and the account shut down, so then it becomes your personal device.
Yeah, understood. Okay, the other question, people receive a device, AKA a tablet, when they come on council. That device serves them through all of the years of their service on council. They do not receive a new device each time they're re-elected.
Yes, they would. 4 years is a long time for an electronic device, and the programming on it just becomes outdated. So the policy would take effect at the beginning of each term.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying all of that for me.
I do have one more question, but I just thought, do we need a motion before I ask it?
It would be a good idea to have a motion on the
Probably.
floor before you discuss.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we pass policy L 3-25, electronic devices policy.
Thank you, Councillor Sandal. It's actually kind of off topic because I'm okay with the policy, but your comment about wiping the device, do we have a policy about that?
We currently don't. We can certainly, I know there is something in the policy that states that if you were going to be taking the device would be wiped.
I might have to think about that one a little. I'm okay with adding or adjusting the policy as is for now.
We
But I
don't
may-
have an electronic device policy currently.
Yeah,
For me to write a policy for a cell phone, that is only a one-time affair.
yeah.
If council wants a motion to say that any current devices that are owned by current council members that they want to keep must first be wiped and the account closed before council can assume possession of that device.
Yeah, I think, really, I think what I'm looking for is more, isn't specific to a cell phone per se. It's more just the protection of the data that we may possess.
So that's what's in the policy, right? The data is our data.
Yeah.
Belongs to the town, right? And that the device would be wiped if you wanted it. And there was a buyback program in there. So for instance, if a council member resigned but wanted to take that device with them, they would have to purchase a
Percentage,
portion, a
yeah.
percentage of that based on the 4 years, kind of divided over the 4 years.
Yeah,
And then the device would have to be wiped before you could take possession of
Okay.
it.
awesome. Any other questions? Councillor Harris?
Yes, thank you. I have two. Where is the information that is on our iPads that we currently have stored?
So if we're talking about information on the server, so emails, et cetera, that's where they are. They're on the server. If you have saved anything to the device itself, it's on the device.
Okay, and so that information can be accessed from the server regardless of whether or not the device is active, inactive, wiped, or whatnot, correct?
Yeah, if it's on the server, it should be accessible, yes.
So it's also gonna depend from an electronics point of view. You save something onto your device directly.
Yeah.
If you are linked, say for example, to an iCloud account, it may get synced up to Apple as well.
Yes, that's
So there's
correct.
gonna be things that you've gotta
Okay,
pay attention, and that's why generally speaking, there should never be a personal
Correct.
account linked
Right.
to that device.
okay. Just a little off topic. If that be the case, why have we had such difficulty accessing the former CAO and former mayor's information?
I don't think we have had any difficulty accessing
We
that
just had
information.
to basically arrange for the access. It took me a bit to get the emails, but I got
Yes,
them.
emails,
Yep.
and recognizing that there could be information in there that is of a confidential nature.
Yep.
So it's not just readily available to anybody who asks.
Oh, no, but it is accessible on the server.
Yep.
Yeah, depending. Again, did the individual, either the former CAO or the former mayor, save that information to a device? Which, if I don't have access to it.
No, but
their
emails and whatnot would be on the server, that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
Emails would
Absolutely.
be on the server. I can't guarantee documents. Some documents could have been saved directly to the device, depending on server access ability, or, again, saved to the server.
Okay,
Again, if it was on the device, standard practice for most companies is to wipe the device.
Correct.
The moment you wipe it, it's gone.
It's gone.
right, okay. My second question, points 2.11 and 2.12. First one says all emails remain the property of the town of Gibbons and are considered public documents. And then 2.12 said emails are subject to the most current privacy and confidentiality legislation. So how do you determine what's public and what is confidential or falls under FOIP?
Again, all documents are considered public documents, but they are subject to FOIP.
Okay. So it would be each individual email and the content of the email itself that would be under scrutiny or
Correct.
under a FOIP legislation potentially?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor? Thank you. And as this is a policy, we only need the one reading, right?
That's correct. And just as a note, I would remind council that this does not take effect until the new council comes in. Once they're sworn in, the policy comes into play.
All right. So that would put 11.2, policy PP 1-25, workplace harassment policy.
Acting Mayor Yushchin, members of council. The purpose of this report is to respectively request the council give consideration to policy PP 1-25 workplace harassment policy. Background, provincial legislation has changed regarding the operational health and safety code, requiring the town of Gibbons to update its current workplace harassment policy. The policy attached is based on the template provided by the province, which is in compliance with the current legislative requirements. At the April 9th, 2025 regular meeting of council, council moved to table this item and direct administration to provide policy PP 1-19 workplace harassment policy for comparison. Administrative forwarded this policy to council on April 10th, 2025 via email. Options available. The options consideration for council include the following. Council approve policy PP 1-25 workplace harassment policy as presented. The council advise administration how it would like to proceed.
Thank you. Can I get a motion? Councillor Berry?
I'll make the motion that we approve the policy PP 1-25 workplace harassment policy.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Berry?
My question has absolutely nothing to do with the content. I think the content is just fine. But I obsessively edit things, and I found some small places where there should be edits. And the other thing I noted is that section 19 and 20 read almost identically, and I'm wondering if that's an error or if there is a reason for the repetition. That's it.
I could be wrong, but it kind of looks like, to me, 19.1 and 20.1 are the, you've breached the policy, and 19.2 and 22 are, here's what could happen.
So the information on the policy came directly from the recommendation from the province. So if you have questions in regarding to the essence of the policy, then that is a question for the province, because we literally, this is what the province recommended, this is what we basically cut and pasted into our policy document.
Yeah. It does seem a little odd, but I don't technically think there's anything wrong with it.
No, just bringing it to your attention. Just wondered if it was an error of some kind.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you. I have two. Can somebody tell me if council falls under the occupational health and safety legislation?
I could be wrong, but I don't think so because we're not employees.
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, this policy is for employees.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, that's why council is not mentioned in the policy.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just unsure whether or not council fell under the jurisdiction of OH&S.
Yeah,
I
don't-
wasn't sure. The second question, and I may have missed it in the document itself, is there any provision in here that notes council should be notified of any, this is a pretty substantial document, and you know, the information, a reason why somebody would come forward, an employee would come forward to make a complaint, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty substantial. It's a, you know, it's not a drop in the bucket type of complaint. Is there any provision that council be notified that any complaints that come in under this policy be notified? I missed it, if there is.
Can I,
As far as I know, council's not notified in this situation at all.
correct? Because that would be an administration thing. We've got nothing to do with town employees. Our only employee is the CAO.
That's right. I'm not asking for us to make a decision on anything. I'm just asking that if there is a complaint that is made by an employee say for sexual harassment, that council is aware that those types of complaints come in just for our own information, so we know. I mean, we're decision makers, so.
Councilor Barry?
When I read over, I'm jumping ahead, when I read over the CAO policy, I noted that there is something in there that the CAO will present information on breaches of the bullying and harassment or workplace harassment policy.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Barry. Perhaps, is there any way that we can connect these two documents?
The
Or
problem
we're-
with connecting those two documents is if one of those documents
Yeah.
changes, we have to remember to make that correction. It's easier, we have to follow policies as a whole. So it is the responsibility of the CAO that if there is then a breach to this policy, that they just advise council. And the easiest thing to do would be the most current. That's what I, typically when I write a policy or bylaw that affects another policy or bylaw, we refer to it as the most current workplace harassment policy, for
That way,
instance.
an adjustment of one doesn't necessarily require.
That's
an
right.
Adjustment to the other.
That's correct. And that way, nothing gets missed.
Yeah.
Okay, my only concern about that is that it requires the person in the CAO position to be open and transparent, and at times, not referring to you, Mr. Lowe, previously, there's been a concern about that transparency.
I agree, but if it's personally, my opinion on that, if it's in a policy in one way, if they're not gonna follow that policy, they're not gonna follow the other one either. So we're not fixing anything by adjusting this one policy in hopes that they follow that one and not the one that's directly named to them anyway.
I get what you're saying. The problem is that we would never know if that, you know what I mean? Like if the employee makes a complaint
I agree,
under this
but-
policy.
When it comes to this policy, the only thing we in theory could say is direct our employee to let us know, which is already being done in the other policy. We can't direct any of
Oh,
his
no,
employees.
no,
to come
I'm
to
aware
us.
of that. I
Which
got
means
12
the
years
on-
under my belt.
the
I know.
The only person that would be required to is the one that this other bylaw specifically states you are required to.
So what would be the harm in putting in the policy that the CAO, if the CAO receives a complaint under this policy, they are to inform?
On the surface, and again, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the surface, there's nothing wrong with it, adding it to this one.
Yeah.
But in theory, then it might mean that we need to add it to 7 more, whereas this one policy can refer to all 7.
That's correct. The other thing I want to point out to council is council has to be obviously aware of the policies that the town operates under. So, and it's your job during the employee review of the CAO to ensure that they are following those policies. So, to put it into word, it's there, it's already there, you have to follow it, here it is. If your employee is not following the policy set by the town, then it's up to you guys to ensure that.
Okay. All right. So you've obviously got something that you'd like to add to it. Would you like to request a friendly amendment?
Well, it's a good document. I'm glad that it's been drafted, but the unfortunate thing is that the way that the municipal governance is constructed like an hourglass, where the CAO is kind of the middle person. If we don't know what we don't know, so if they don't bring it forward to us, and the employee has no ability to notify council themselves, like ours, right? Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
the
I
fact
do-
that it's not in here doesn't mean they don't have the ability to do so.
And I want to say the council did pass a whistleblower policy as well,
Yep.
which allows an employee to go
forward.
to council, the mayor or the deputy mayor, should they have a concern. If they brought a concern and the CAO is aware and they have not received that satisfaction from the CAO.
Absolutely.
Is there, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Councillor Sandal, you had a question or comment?
Just a couple. First of all, you can be as transparent and go through all this all you want, except that if you go against FOIP, you can't bring it forward. So I'd really be careful about how open and honest. All right, second part is, do we need to also reference in this motion that we're, by this policy, we're superseding PP 1-19?
You would be correct in that, Councillor Sandal.
So sorry, we need a secondary motion to rescind that policy?
We can make a motion, a friendly amendment to the motion to approve the policy as amended with the note that policy PP 125 is now, or sorry, 1-19
already in there.
has been superseded. It's not in the policy.
Yeah, it is. It says supersedes policy PP 1-19.
Thank you. No, it does, when you approve the policy, you approve the policy with everything in it,
Which includes.
which includes that statement.
Rescinding, yeah. Cool. Councillor Harris?
Is there any way that we can make a notation in here that indicates that the employee has the ability through the whistleblower policy to inform council of their complaint?
That can certainly be
That,
written.
you know, just so that the employers are very clear that they have an avenue. Bless you. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Or at
And I
least,
don't
at
think
least
that-
a refresher course for the employees. I just think it's very, very important that the employees have, you know,
Be aware that there is a staff meeting coming up for staff, which will go over these new policies. So that
Okay.
is already on the agenda for what's going to be discussed with the employees.
okay, I'm satisfied with that then.
Awesome. So no amendment needed?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, all in favor of the policy? Thank you. All right, bylaw, MOG 3-23, Chief Administrative Officer bylaw.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of the Council, so just to allude what Ms. Pinot said, we are having a staff meeting and going over all personnel policies and everything with all new staff, summer staff, all safety and everything. So they will all know all of these things before they start.
Excellent. Thank you.
The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council advise administration on how it would like to proceed on background of the regular council meeting of March 26, 2025. Council directed administration to bring a bylaw MOG 3-23 Chief Administrative Officer bylaw to council for review. At the regular meeting of council on April 9th, 2025, council moved to table this item and requested that the previous bylaw be provided to council for background information. The administration provided the bylaw MOG 3-95 to council via email April 10th, 2025. As noted, bylaw MOG 3-23 was last passed November 2023. Options available. The options for consideration by council include the following. Council advise administration how it would like to proceed.
All right, can I get a motion? Motion, I suppose, would be to accept as information, really, unless there's changes.
I'll move to accept it as information.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I'd like amended in here, that I'd like to share with council. The first one would be, one moment. It's regarding the, financial powers, section 3.15, the beginning. Now, in, right here, 3.16.0, CAO may authorize over expenditures within the operating and capital budgets, but not at no time may the CAO authorize cumulative operating and capital expenditures in excess of the approved total operating and capital budgets. If I'm not mistaken, that indicates that the CAO can ultimately spend millions of dollars without coming forward to council, because that's not what the previous,
I could be wrong, but I don't think that's what this is saying.
that's exactly what it
I
says.
think what this is saying is if the overall budget was X dollars he can move money within different projects,
No,
but he cannot approve any expenditure over and above what that X dollar amount was.
you're incorrect. As a matter of fact, I've looked into other municipalities, and in their CAO bylaws, it has a dollar figure that the CAO is able to spend up to. And for example, if I'm not mistaken, the CAO of Sturgeon County, and it's relative to the budget of the municipality, CAO of Sturgeon County can spend up to $500,000, give or take, without having to come forward to council.
Which I don't see that at all as being a bad issue. I just don't think that 13.16 is that, what you're saying. I don't think that section is what's at question.
Yes, if you read it, it says the CAO may authorize over expenditures within the operating or capital budgets, et cetera, in excess of the approved total without having to come to council. I mean, that's what it said.
But at no time
Yep.
may approve anything in excess of the approved.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
So he can move money.
No.
That's what this, I could be
Can
wrong,
I have
but that's what this is
clarification,
saying.
please?
So I would tend to agree with Acting Mayor Yushishin. According to how it's read, as I understand it as well, the CAO can authorize over expenditures within the operating or capital budgets, but at no time may the CAO authorize cumulative operating and capital expenditures in excess of the approved total operating and capital budgets.
So if
So I'm
we
reading
needed-
it the same way.
If we needed to hire somebody into a department that they didn't have the budget for, they could hire that, pay the wage on the condition they found the money from some other place in the budget without having to come to us first.
Yes, that's how that's how I'm reading it as well. I mean, I
But-
agree with Councillor Harris as well, though, setting a dollar amount
I
in
think
there.
that's a great
and then
idea.
having
Absolutely.
council approve anything over a dollar amount doesn't seem like a bad idea
I
either.
completely,
Well, that's regular practice. I've done my homework.
yeah, no, and I completely agree
Yeah.
with you on that. My only comment was I just think you're pointing out the wrong section. I don't think that's the section you're really concerned about. Personally, again, I think, again, using my example, if you wanted to hire a person for a department and you couldn't find money in the existing budget to use for that, you'd have to come back to council to get an extension on that budget. But if you can you let two people go from one department for the purpose of hiring one person in another department, there's no change in the budget, there's just a movement of the money. That's not a problem.
I don't think it's operating necessarily. I believe that it's, more of a capital expenditure.
Okay, then I'll throw one more out at you, and again, I don't have exact examples off the top of my head. But say, for example, we wanted to increase Public Works' sidewalks budget to get more sidewalks fixed. If we pulled an extra $100,000 from one capital project to give to that capital project, as long as the money didn't exceed the overall cost of the full capital budget, there's no issues.
But if something is $100,000 more than we know it was going to cost, then we should be notified, period.
Only if they can't find the money elsewhere in the budget. If they can pull from one to pay for the other.
We
then
all
we
know
haven't changed-
where
we haven't
we've got
changed the
with
budget.
the pull from Peter to pay for Paul.
And I agree, which is why the suggestion you had of adding a dollar amount limit to what they could do without coming to council, I think is a great idea. I just, again, the moving of the money, as long as he stays within budget, you do what you do, on the condition that if we add a dollar figure, that movement doesn't exceed that dollar figure.
But the problem that I see with that is that the former CAO was moving money all over the place and spending money all over the place that we had no idea that he was spending. So whether or not he took it from here to pay for that, we don't know if he's over budget with that. So there has to be way more transparency and accountability and scrutiny of the
And I
CAO
don't disagree with that either.
positions.
Councillor Sandal.
I'm listening to you talk, referring to the previous CAO, and I consider that you're attempting to use his actions to defame our current acting CAO.
No, how so?
Okay, let's move on with that. Sorry, Chris. Ms. Pino?
Can I suggest that you put put a section in this bylaw that states if the CAO has to move money from Peter to pay Paul, for instance, that it's just a notification to council
He
via
has the authority
via
to
an
do
RFD.
so,
He has the authority
he
to do
has to
so, but
notify
he
us.
notifies council at the next regular council meeting.
I
That way
like
business
that.
doesn't move. Like, business
doesn't
still
stop.
can still happen, it doesn't stop, and council becomes aware of just where it's at in the budget.
I like that. Ms. Jeffries?
Mayor Yusish and members of council, as a general rule in a budget, so you have your admin budget and you have your public works budget, and as Acting Mayor Yusish indicated, so let's say Public Works needs a new employee, but they're at the top of their budget, but administration has some room in their budget. Therefore, as the way I've been taught is if you're going to take money from the admin budget to cover something in the Public Works budget, you need to advise council, because council approves the budgets as total. If you spend $15 more on a telephone call, that's not the issue. It's the bottom line of what that department is allowed.
And I completely agree with you. My only question is that you say it's supposed to happen. Do we say in here that it will happen? Because if not, then that's what we need to get added for sure.
I agree. That needs to be clarified. But you cannot, you should not go, and that's how we're trained. You need to keep your department budgets to the totals, and auditors look at that. How did your variances to budget? That's why those are presented to council on a quarterly basis. And now that administration is presenting cash flow statements,
Yep.
those items were not being presented to council in the past. Council has made motions now to instruct administration to provide them more clarity, more information, to allow them the ability to be more vigilant.
Cool.
If I may, Ms. Jeffries, I would like to ask you, in your experience as a previous CAO, did you not have a spending limit that in your CAO, or previous history as a CAO, in your municipality at all?
Acting Mayor Yusish and members of council, no. I knew that I had a budget to follow, and I followed that budget.
And there was nothing noted in your CAO bylaw
Nope,
about
nope,
over expenditures?
nope. Over expenditures in emergencies, yes. But one thing that I need to advise council, in my practice as a CAO, I had a very open relationship with my councils. They knew what was going on. That's how I operated as a CAO.
I can appreciate that. And the problem is that if the individual in this, not yourself or Mr. Lowe, I mean, that requires
I agree.
an element of,
We need to trust the people that work for us, but we also need to ensure that we've got something in writing that allows us to have that belief. That they are presenting to us the things that the document and us say they need to.
we'll move on from that for a second. My other question, in the previous bylaw, in the 1995 bylaw, I did notice that it noted in there that the CAO had the capability to hire and fire at, the administration employees or the employees within the administration, with the exception of the director positions, and that the hiring of the director positions would involve council. That was stated in the 1995 bylaw. It wasn't followed. It was not followed at all. I mean, we didn't hire, or we had no involvement in hiring any of the director positions as per the 1995 CAO bylaw. I would like to suggest that something like that be incorporated in the CAO bylaw.
Acting Mayor Sushin, members of council, there was a big change in the MGA at that time. And it was, if you recall, if you look at the MGA, it states that the CAO is the administrative head of council and is responsible for staffing and operations. So that means that the CAO makes the decisions
Right.
for directors and that sort of thing. The only employee that the council has is the CAO.
Well,
So
I think
there's nothing saying that the CAO is not required under, if council so wishes, that council be advised,
100%.
but council does not make the decisions on who is a director and who is not. That is the CAO's, according to the current MGA.
you know, considering that this is, again, a substantial and a very important document, and we know that if it's not written very specifically and explicitly to their powers and duties to the powers and duties that the CAO is governed by, I would like to, rather than put this to bed at the moment and accept it as information, to maybe have a little bit more lengthy of a discussion.
So, again, I'm kind of new at this, so I'm trying to figure it out as I go. They provided us information, I think we can accept that, but then either A, make a motion for amendments that you've got already, or let's make a notice of motion to discuss some of those amendments in a couple of weeks, something along those lines, so that we can really go through this, and like you say, let's actually write out a couple of suggestions on this is what I think the CAO should be able to spend without notifying council. Or what, again, whatever amendments we're looking for, because I agree, there's amendments that we should do, but we're not prepared to do those right now. And secondly, there's not even a motion out to make an adjustment to this. That's what we need to do.
So I would suggest then that Councillor Sandal rescind his motion to accept his information, that the item gets tabled, that council reviews the bylaw, send their suggestions into the CAO. We will incorporate those into a bylaw and bring the bylaw back for council's review.
We'll discuss them.
And council then can then discuss it. So that would be my suggestion. Rescind the motion, table the item, decide on when you want this, what the deadline is for council to send their suggestions to the interim CAO. We'll incorporate those and bring it back at another regular meeting of council when council decides.
Cool. So, Councillor Sandal, are you okay with rescinding?
I'll rescind my motion for the approval of this. And do I need to make a motion to table this?
Yes.
Any member of council can make a
Or
motion to
somebody
table.
does.
Okay, so I'll rescind my original motion and I will make a motion to table this item.
Do we need to know until when? Probably.
It would be a good idea to know, because tabling usually means it comes back at the next regular meeting
Oh.
of council. So perhaps you should set a deadline of when council is to get their changes to the interim CAO, and at what meeting you wish to have this brought back.
So,
Okay, I'll change it to ask for the first meeting in June. Is that gonna work?
That's 1 month's time. Does council feel that that is enough time for them to get their suggestions into the interim CAO?
and then give you time to change the policy?
And
I
for
think-
us time to change
personally, I
the
think that's
bylaw?
enough, But. Okay.
So the motion will be then that Councillor Sandal rescinded his motion and then moved to table the item until the first regular meeting in June, and that council will provide their changes to the interim CAO by, how about by May the
always-
28th, which is 2 weeks
I was
away?
gonna say by the end of the month.
By May 28th is the next regular meeting of council,
Okay,
so that's 2 weeks' time, and then we will have 2 weeks then to put the bylaw together.
that sounds reasonable. All right, any questions on that? Awesome. Oh, okay.
Just, okay, I'm on vacation from May 29th to June 5th. So I have a weekend there when they're coming in, so I don't know if you want to extend that a little
Can you
longer.
CC me then in your changes, and
Yeah.
I'll make those changes. I'll make sure they're put into the bylaw.
Amazing. We're good? All in favor? Thank you. 11.4 is gone, so 11.5, ALT 5-25 tax rate bylaw.
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, as the 2025 operating and capital budgets have now been adopted by council, and the 2025 tax rate bylaw has received first reading with amendments, administration is respectfully requesting that council consider providing second and third reading to bylaw ALT 5 2025 tax rate bylaw. The council of the town of Gibbons has opted for option 1 for a 2025 mill rate increase of 1%. The 2025 tax rate bylaw, ALT 5-25, has been amended to reflect a decision of council from the April 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of council. This decision of council will mean the following, that the tax rate for 2025 will be set at 8.08636 for residential properties, generating $3,300,112.90. Tax rate for 2025 will be set at 13.04 for residential vacant properties, generating $70,593.61. That the tax rate for 2025 will be set at 14.9978 for non-residential and machinery and equipment properties, generating $640,908.04. That the tax rate for 2025 will be set at 18.4167 for non-residential vacant properties, generating $41,884.55. That the tax rate for 2025 will be set at 16.7661 for farmland, generating $4,976.35, for a total levy of $3,788,475.45, which includes a surplus of $334,399.35. Options for consideration, that council provides second and third reading of the bylaw. The second option, that council advise administration as to how it would want to proceed. Administration would like to respectfully request that the council consider the following recommendation, that council gives second and third reading to bylaw ALT-25, the 2025 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you. Can I get a motion, Councillor Berry?
I'd like to move that council gives second reading to bylaw ALT-25, 2025 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris?
When I would just like a little clarification. The tax rate, or the tax increase that was voted on was 1%, correct? The figures in the background, or the paragraphs subsequent to the background information, where the tax rate for 2025 will be set at 8.08, et cetera, for residential properties. Those numbers, the 8.08, the 13.04, 14.99, can we just get a little clarification on what those numbers are exactly and how they pertain?
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, those are 1% times what the mill rate was in 2024.
Okay, so it's is that a dollar a figure then? The 8 point, just for example, will be set at, I mean, that's the mill rate, is it not?
The mill rate times the assessment divided by 1,000 gives you the dollar amount.
So the 8.08636 is our 2024 mill rate
20.
plus 1%.
Correct.
Gives us the 8.08636.
That's correct.
So our current residential property mill rate is 8.08636.
That's correct. And then you have an assessment of $374,719,020. So you multiply the 8.0836 times the assessment, divided by 1,000, gives you the levy amount of $3,030,112.90.
Thank you.
So, A, it is a dollar figure, that 8 point,
No, it's a percentage, it's a mill rate
It-
percentage.
okay.
It's a mi-
Then why do you refer, I'm just want clarification for my own self, so, because, a resident might not understand this either. Why do you refer to it as a tax rate, as opposed to a mill rate? I'm unaware of the,
They both mean the same thing. Mill rate or tax rate is the same thing.
okay. Again, I'm just asking for fair clarification, because in the first, in the first paragraph, under background, it says option 1 for 2025 mill rate, and then in the, do you see where I'm?
All you're looking for, and again, it has nothing
Just
to
so
do with
that
the actual
people,
policy.
no, it
or
just
the
has,
bylaw.
it's just,
for clarification.
yeah, like, why
We
do you
could-
refer to it as mill rate in one sentence and then tax rate in the next sentence?
But in reality, mill rate and tax rate are interchangeable at any time.
That is correct,
Okay.
Acting Mayor Yusish.
So in future, maybe we could pick one,
Okay,
if possible.
Well, that just
but
could cause confusion. I
Yeah.
mean, to the layperson,
That makes sense.
I also, my next question was point number 5. The tax rate for 2025 will be set at 16.7661 for farmland generating $4,976.35 for a total levy of 3.7 million, et cetera, which provides for the surplus. Can I get a little explanation on what that sentence means?
Could I interject? I think you may have mistakenly added the generating, for a total levy of, that should be outside of those 5 points, because those 5 points are what add up to the 3,788,000. Is that correct?
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, I'm sorry, that must be my French talking, but yes, you're exactly right.
Okay.
It's the $3,788,475.45 is what is being generated. If you look on page 2 of the bylaw, it's all itemized, and that's where the numbers come from.
Yeah. So it's just a formatting issue.
That's correct.
Your numbers are
And
correct.
my
It's just a
apologies.
formatting. Cool.
Okay, so the point number 1 is 3 million, and then point number 5 says 3.7 million.
No, stop.
Okay.
Sorry, just, hopefully this will help. If you add 3 million plus the 70,000 plus the 640,000 plus the 41,000 plus the 4,900, that will add up to 3,788,475. Correct?
Yes, correct. If you look on page 2 of the bylaw, there is a graph, an
Oh,
Excel,
it says it right there, yeah.
and it's all itemized.
Yeah. So if you look at the numbers under the tax levy, those match her 5 points. And then the second half of point 5 that should be outside of a point is the total.
Where's the surplus shown then?
That
You
surplus is
look
just
on
based off of.
page 2 of the bylaw, surplus levied, $334,399.45.
Sorry, I'm missing that.
Yeah,
Where's that? Oh, right in the brackets, there it is, underneath farmland.
so we have an extra 300 grand because of this increase, is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. Which would go into surplus, reserves.
Is that projected,
Yes,
I would think it has to be because we haven't spent everything yet. We haven't received all the revenue yet.
we haven't levied the taxes yet.
We haven't levied the taxes yet, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, any other questions?
I'd like recorded votes, please.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Is anybody interested in having a motion for third reading?
I'll move third reading of Alt 5-25.
Thank you. Any questions?
Recorded, please.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, staff administration report.
Acting Mayor Shushin, members of council, our Mental Health Week activities and emergency preparedness event were very well attended. Thank you for everyone that volunteered, worked, and attended. Our youth center was open for 15 days in April, and we had over 395 visits, so it is being also very, very well utilized to the point where hitting essentially capacity of our 20 people. Kids are waiting outside till someone leaves and goes right back in. So Jeanne was telling me we're sometimes sitting around 30 to 35 kids in one night that are coming through our youth center. Our upcoming events, we have our seniors barbecue, Ride for Dad, and Pride event, as well as just since we received the money and on our rec agreements going forward, our 2025 funding that we did receive was $352,527. So I just wanted to note that we did receive that. So for 2026, it'll be that plus CPI going forward. And then just again, reminder to watch the newsletter and our website for more information and events.
Acting Mayor Yusishin, members of council, corporate services has been busy with tax enforcement, land sales. The corporate services plus all the heads of all the departments are working diligently on getting the annual report that's provided to council yearly and get that out. Legislative compliance report, we're putting together all of the requirements by municipal affairs so that they can do their legislative compliance. And contracts, been working on different contracts.
Acting Mayor Yusishin, members of council, public works, we're currently working on water meter changeouts as appointments are made and as time permits. Our street sweeper is up and running now. Look out for the signs. We're going through neighborhoods, posting a weekly plan, and then posting daily we're trying to do as well. And we should have a map going on to show the borders of each neighborhood that we'll be forecasting for the weeks as well. The RV dump station and the branch and grass recycling are now open. The water won't be available at the RV dump station till May 16th. We're hoping to have that up and running by then. Puddle repairs and hydrant repairs are ongoing. The grass maintenance is ongoing. The mowers are out steady right now. Fish pond stocking is expected in mid-May, sometime around the long weekend, but date has not been set yet. Spray park and the RV water, we're hoping for May 16th, weather permitting, for opening days on those. And the flowers we're expecting by mid-June to be going in.
Acting Mayor Yusishin, members of council, planning and development inquiries are coming in for the town properties listed for sale. Most of the retail units, Heartland Common, are leased or leasehold improvements are underway. 5 new single-family dwelling development permits have been approved, with several more anticipated in the next probably month coming in for over there. Business breakfast had 11 local business owners attend. New business breakfast is tentatively planned for September. Planning the mayor's brunch in the fall is underway. Inside Gibbons Magazine is published and will be available for distribution later this week. So. On the fire department, I got to change the numbers here. The county calls are 81, town calls are 74. Current membership is 21. We dropped one. He's actually joining the military. And 2 on leave of absence. And one of them came back. She found a babysitter for a newborn baby and she decided to return. So. I had regional CAOs meeting, meeting with Landrex, meeting with fire department heads, and meeting with potential developers. And on the fire department side of it, I'd just like to thank our firefighters. We had a busy from the 3rd to the 9th, 10th. We were busy. I had at least 4 to 5 firefighters going out to the main fire all the time, and they were out there for probably 14, 16 hours at a time. Plus we had up to just close to 30 calls with the crew we had left here. So we were busy. And they all did really well, and I want to just give them a big kudos. And then in the EOC, we had Tara there for 8 days, long shifts, and Chris was there for a day and a half. And good job by them. We learned a lot, and you were going to say something.
I just want to include, we also had a number of staff help at the reception center, so
Okay,
all of them.
so some of them at the reception center, and that's still ongoing. The fire is 98% contained, but they still don't classify it as under control, and it is in peat moss, so you know it's burning deep. So I can imagine us going back out there. My last point, I think most of you know I'm out on Facebook, but I'd like to address on there somebody calling my staff liars. Now, I don't know who this person is. It's Ferroni Tony, I don't know. But it means nothing to me. It's just to clarify about our assessments done by Municipal Assessment Services, who was appointed by council. So somebody suggested that Monique does assessments. She does not do assessments. I just want to clarify. I have an open door. If people think my staff are lying, come talk to me. I will talk to you and see what the issues are, and I will address them. So just talk to me. I'm an easy person to talk to. I just don't want my staff being called names or anything else. It's not professional at all. Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Put forward the motion to accept as presented.
Questions? Councillor Harris? Oh, Councillor Belmonte?
Thanks. I just want to say, again, you know how strong I feel about public safety in the fire department. I actually had to experience a family emergency last week, and I just want to give kudos to the fire department and the members who attended. The professionalism, everything that was there that we always count on in times of emergency. And just so you know, I did have to call 911, so it was one of those events that ended up being a good story afterwards. So the good news is my family member's doing really well, and I'm just glad we made it to the Stollery in time. So thanks again, and I just want to say thank you again to the firefighters and just all the good work. The training really showed that it kicked in, and I think the other piece that that you may not recognize, Eric, is also it seems like it's a day in and day out for your firefighters, and it's something that you don't get paid to do. Like it doesn't fulfill the full-time needs, but a lot of our volunteer firefighters are, how do I say, well-practiced. And again, at the end of the day, this is like 3 o'clock in the morning that firefighters are putting on their personal time to come in and then still have to go to work the next day or the following morning. So I just want to say thanks again, and I appreciate it. And I'll always support wherever we need it. And it was nice to see the new fire truck being used as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Malonte. Just another thing, a first for the fire department. This morning we had a medical call come in, and within 45 seconds later we had an alarm.
Councillor Harris, you had something?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the fact that we got the financial statements. Correct me if I'm wrong, did we not request that council be provided with the management letter as well? I believe so.
I don't recall.
When the auditor
Discussing
made-
the letter that was discussed in the closed session portion, like, I'm not sure, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure
Well,
what
the-
it was
the
that
letter that's
council would have
provided to council is not as specific as, provided to council by the auditor, is not as specific as the management letter.
So I just want to say that, as far as I know, this is what's come in from the council. You would have to ask finance about anything else, but as far as I know, this is all that's come in from the auditor. So I don't know what you're referring to as a management letter. It doesn't come to me. I don't know.
Okay. Mr. Lowe or Ms. Jeffries, has the management letter been received?
Acting Mayor Sisson, members of council, the management letter goes to the CAO to
Yeah.
deal with the administrative part, and what it states in there is whether the policies or the procedures that are being followed are followed according to the proper protocols, like the one that receives the funds does not do the bank rec, the one that receives those kinds of things, and that's what is looked at. And it has been provided to this interim CAO, and he has addressed it with his staff.
Okay,
That
thank
does
you.
not
I
go
know
to
what it
council.
contains. No, we had requested it, if I'm not mistaken, and we have received it before.
If we did, there's no motion for it. So
Okay, well,
if you
I
want,
will,
we need to make a motion.
I will go back in my notes because as far as I understand,
We may very well have, but there's nothing in the
Yeah.
minutes that say we make a
Okay,
motion.
that's fine.
So we can make a motion. We can make a motion to receive it. There's just nothing in here stating that we actually asked for it in the minutes,
okay, well,
which is what administration is required to act on.
really, thank you. Okay, well, I'll leave that for now and I'll just do a little bit more homework and
Okay.
thank
Any other
you.
questions? I do have one, actually, if you don't mind. Could be just a wording thing, Mr. Lowe. In your interim CAO, you said meeting with fire department heads. Did you actually mean fire department, or did you mean your department heads administratively?
The fire department has my leadership in my fire department.
Oh, okay.
Actually, interim CAO, you have had two leadership meetings, which are your department heads. So it refers to your department heads, not your fire department heads.
Thank you.
I have too much in my head.
Awesome, thank you. And I also want to just thank everybody for the work that they've done with these wildfires and working at the Emergency Operations Center. And it's just been fantastic to hear some of the stories coming out of it. And also hear that things are currently progressing nicely. All right, we've already got the motion. All in favor of accepting his information? Thank you. All right, committee reports. Yes. Councillor Sandal, let's start with you.
Okay, April 24th, I attended the AB Muni's review of Bill 50. May 3rd and 4th, I was at the Tim Hortons here in town decorating smile cookies to raise money for the food bank. And this week I attended the general meeting of the Heartland Air Monitoring Partnership.
April 25th was Edmonton Salutes, a Zoom meeting. May 2nd, did 2 shifts at Tim Hortons Smile Cookies, reminded me of being young and milking cattle with the little ice thingies they had. May 6th, the Heartland Station Kids Daycare grand opening, and May 8th, Alberta Council Bill 54 webinar.
Councillor Harris.
As per my sanctions, I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
On April the 24th, I attended the business breakfast. Following that, the Homeland Housing Board meeting, and at 12 o'clock, the AB Muni's webinar. It was a busy day. On May the 2nd, I took part in the Northern Lights Library System AGM. On May the 4th, I put smiles and eyes on cookies at Tim Hortons. And at 12 o'clock, I attended the mental health event that was held over at the Cultural Center. On Tuesday, May the 6th, I attended the grand opening for the daycare, the new daycare. And at 5:30, I attended the emergency preparedness event. And on May 7th, I had coffee with a gentleman who is considering running for council and found it very interesting. That's it.
Councillor Malonte.
May 12th, attended the Heartland Air event, where we met with a few scientists regarding the viability of the air, and I didn't even know that our measuring machine or measuring conduit for air is actually just behind the town office. I assumed it would be in the middle of a field somewhere just to get the proper air quality indexing. And also met with the Redwater mayor as well, and who kind of gave us some updates and does appreciate all the support that's been given from the town of Gibbons, whether it's with fire or support from everybody else in the community. And then on May 6th, attended the Gibbons Emergency Preparedness event. It was great to see so many people coming over to the fire hall. We had the police there, we had EMS, we had Public Works as well, and a few others that were attending to their booths. And it was just a great event to see everybody coming out and seeing what we have to offer for Gibbons Emergency Preparedness. I'd love to see another event happen again next year. And then also attended the Smile Cookie event for one of the shifts as well on May 3rd with Acting Mayor Yushishin. I still think I decorate better. But.
We'll talk. All right, on April 24th, I attended the business breakfast as well as the AB Muni's analysis of Bill 50. April 25th, I attended the Fort Saskatchewan Trade Show. On May 3rd and 4th, I also decorated some Smile Cookies. On May 6th, I attended the Kinder Kids Daycare grand opening. Great facility, really, really good facility. And also on May 6th, attended the Gibbons Emergency Preparedness event. On May 8th, I attended a webinar from Alberta Council on Bill 54. And on May 12th, I attended the Heartland Air 25th anniversary and board meeting. Can I get a motion to accept this information?
I'll
Councillor
move we
Berry.
accept the administration reports or council reports as information.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Can I get a motion 14-1 for correspondence? RCMP April Roundup.
I'll move 14-1 as information.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Can I get a motion for 14-2 Edmonton Global correspondence?
I'll make the motion for Edmonton Global Correspondence as information.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? All right. Notice of motion. I think our first two are Councillor Malonte.
Thank you. Just organizing my notes here. So 15.1 regarding the secondary access road, I'd like to put in the motion that council direct administration to review and provide a report exploring the feasibility of implementing a secondary access roadway for the south area of Gibbons beyond Lennon Drive.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we're not actually putting a motion in today. We're reading into the minutes that our next meeting, we will have a discussion about this, correct?
Correct. Notice of motion.
That's correct, Acting Mayor. It's not up for debate. It's just, it has to be read into the minutes and then provided to the interim CAO in writing.
Thank you. Okay, so that was 15-1, 15-2.
15.2, another notice of motion, damage sidewalk repair plan. I'd like to put in the following, that council direct administration to provide a comprehensive report detailing damaged sidewalks, including a prioritized ranking of their repair or for their repair.
Thank you. And 15-3, Councillor Berry.
I'd like to make a notice of motion that council direct administration to bring forward council's procedural bylaw MOG 1-16 to the next regular meeting of council for review.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We have no motion for information or anything on those, right? Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask a question, not debate, not anything like that, but with regards to Councillor Berry's notice of motion, between now and when it's on the agenda at the next meeting, is there anything specific, that we're looking to review? Are we looking to review it? I just would like a little bit of clarification of Who's reviewing what? The intention,
Council is reviewing the bylaw.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it's just an overall, again, I have some thoughts behind what I'm looking for, but
Yeah.
again, we're not discussing necessarily that during the.
no, I'm not asking, but what I'm asking is that between now and then, if the motion is,
How the notice of motion works is it's now on the agenda.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's now in the minutes.
so it'd be the next meeting that we would.
Debate.
Okay.
We would debate, and then whatever decision comes out of that debate would appear then on the following meeting.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but because it's now on the minutes for the next, or it's gonna be on the agenda for the next meeting, you'll likely provide that, policy to us in the agenda package so that we can.
No.
review it? No?
So the motion comes forward, it comes forward as a motion. There's nothing for me to attach because council has made no
We haven't
motion
actually
yet.
done anything yet.
You have
Okay.
not made any decision or direction. So it comes forward for debate at the next regular council meeting. Whatever decision you decide from that, that is what's actioned upon.
Okay. So, I don't know if we know we're gonna discuss it, can we make a motion today requesting you to send that to us?
You already have, every person has the council procedural bylaw already. That's what I want to tell you.
Yeah, I
So
get-
that gives you then basically 2 meetings to review that, because next meeting, this motion comes forward for debate. You have your discussion. Maybe you don't debate. Maybe you all agree and just vote, yep, we'll have administration bring that forward.
Oh, I see. So the next meeting, we're not even giving you suggestion on
No.
what we want changed. We're just saying.
Bring
we
it
may
forward
want
for
to-
review.
We want to change. Let's
Bring it forward for review, and then
Okay.
that would give you 2 weeks, but as a little hint, hint, wink, wink, you all have the council procedural bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that then, no, yeah, no motions, we're good. Okay, I think let's try and hold it to 5, please. 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back for closed. That's pretty loud. It's just a white noise. So that anybody sitting out there waiting for us to come out of closed session can't hear us talk.
Nobody's out there.
Cool. Awesome. We close? We're good? Awesome. Okay, can I get a motion on 16.1 intergovernmental relations? Councilor Berry?
I move that council approve the Sturgeon Regional Partnership Economic Development Working Group Terms of Reference as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, we can't have questions because it was closed. Thank you. I got it. All in favor? Thank you. 16.2,
Okay.
code of conduct.
Okay, I'll move to have a letter drafted by the administration reflecting the concern with the lack of
Just a letter.
code of conduct,
Yeah.
and we will have it received by email and approved in the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And 16.3, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that council approve the sale of the lot, 1011 Block 4, Plan 11030 HW, to Statement Builders Limited for the price of $140,000 per lot.
Thank you. All in favor? We're adjourned.